Hi seniors, my goal in this video is to give you some information about finishing the service project. So as you know, our goal this year has been to equip you to understand and redemptively respond to problems in the world. And regardless of what kind of service project you're doing, or if it even relates to the problem that you've been researching, we hope that the project is an opportunity for you to learn more about problems and to come alongside people and see what they're doing to take action to respond to problems in the world. Our goals for you this quarter have been that you would set goals and manage time to complete a project, and that you would have the opportunity of serving by helping a person or group of people with a specific need. So let's talk about what it looks like to wrap up this process. 4 simple steps. You're going to do your project, you're going to document it, you're going to reflect, and you are going to submit some verification of what you have done. So let's walk through each of those in order. As you are doing your service project, which some of you I know are this week, you may need to miss school. And the good news is that you have 2 excused absences for your site visits and service project. So the best way to handle this is before your absence, either you or a parent or guardian can email the office using the address here with some kind of documentation or confirmation of what you were doing. And that will enable Mrs. Williamson to excuse and mark your absence in Veracross. I will post this on the stream so that you have access to this information elsewhere as well. As you are doing your project, you are going to be documenting each step of the way, and you have already submitted your service project journal twice with some entries. There will be one more deadline next week. The goal of the service project journal is that it documents your whole project. So if by next week's deadline you've finished your project, then you can just resubmit that on March 25th. If you still have some things to do between March 17th and March 25th, you will need to add some entries so that your journal reflects the whole scope of things that you've done in the course of your project. Keep in mind that your practicum teachers will be looking at your documentation to evaluate your investment of time or effort, so it will be helpful for you to be detailed and thorough in what you're recording. And it's also helpful to keep in mind that the more thoughtful you are on your observations at this point, the more that will help you complete your service project reflection. So let's take a look at the example service project journal that Mr. Swanson created earlier this quarter. So I would encourage you to spend some time looking at this if you haven't already. The main thing I want to point out is just the kinds of reflections he's including here about the people that he's working with, about some things that he's learning as he's partnering with an organization, some things that he's learning about himself, some things that he's, again, learning about the organization, and some thoughts about how he wants to be involved in the future. And you'll notice that those reflections really parallel some of the things that you're going to write about at more length in your service project reflection. So a lot of the things that you do at this stage can be pulled from your service project journal. Certainly what happened, what you did, what you observed, you'll be able to use things from your journal in completing this reflection. And the more that you kind of include a wide range of reflections in this middle column, the more that you'll be able to talk about what you learned about the people you serve, the people you partnered with, how you want to apply this learning going forward, etc. So we would encourage you to be detailed in your service project journal because that will really be helpful to you. So as we've just noted, the next step once you've completed and documented your project is to reflect on your learning. And we would encourage you to really include some reflections on the process as well as the product. So not just what you did, but what you learned along the way. For some of you, that might be thinking about what you learned in the approval process, the struggles to get a project approved, what you learned through not getting a project approved. All of that is a really valuable part of the learning experience. So this is a place that you can write about that. Again, as I've just said, you can use information from your service project journal, and our hope is that the work that you do on both of these things will be a really helpful resource for you as you are planning for your final practicum presentation. Okay, so I'm going to show you on Classroom in a moment the things that are due on March 25th. Here is a list of them. So as we've said, the journal, the reflection, the verification form, and your site visit confirmation and reflection form. Again, this deadline is Thursday, March 25th. That is 2 weeks from tomorrow. Things are due at midnight. And if you need and are eligible for an extension, you need to request that from your practicum teacher at least 24 hours in advance. So it's It's been an uphill climb. We recognize that. You have persevered. The end is in sight, and we are excited for you not only to reach the finish line or the top, but be able to turn around and reflect on what you've learned, how far you've come along the way. And that really is going to be the focus of next quarter. In the presentation, what you're doing is bringing together everything that you've done and talking about and sharing with others what you've learned through the practicum process. Okay, so let's take a look at Google Classroom. You will notice the Service Project Journal post, so that deadline will be changed again to reflect next week's deadline, and then changed one more time to reflect the March 25th deadline. So you will just keep resubmitting on this post 2 more times. The verification form is here, and that is a place where you and a parent or guardian are confirming that you have actually done all the things that you're saying you have done in your service project journal and reflection. Notice that the consequences for falsifying anything on either of those assignments are pretty significant. Then you will be submitting your service project reflection here on this post, so these 3 posts, and your site visit confirmation and reflection in the site visit category. So we'd like to remind you of the service project rubric that for your project to be accepted for grading, those 3 things need to be completed. So your reflection needs